So this is Maya Heisenbuttel, and we are doing our Google Classroom 201. Today we are going to take just a second or two to talk about some of the Google Meet and other settings you might want to mess with in your Google Classroom. So here's my Google Classroom, and as you can see, I've got it set up. I've got a couple of classwork assignments in there. I actually have one student already there and a little section for grades, which we will go over later. For right now, I just want to go mess with the settings for this class, so I'm going to go to the cog. And notice I have a class description. It's just random. I've put in my room and all my other information. I do have a class code already set up. The one thing I do want to make sure that you guys know is that this is where you change it from students can post on the stream to only teachers can post and comment. I find with middle schoolers, this is a really important one. My middle schoolers have a really hard time if I let them post things, then they go wild. So I turn that off. The other thing you might want to do is classwork on the stream. You might want to hide those notifications. That way your students don't get an email every single time you post things in your Google Classroom. I like to show deleted items because that way I can delete an assignment and it will still be there and I can see it, but my students can't. Guardian summaries, that's an important one I like to leave on so that guardians can always go in and see how their student is doing. Also, there's a Google Meet setting. So this will set up a Google Meet just for this class. Now, keep in mind that sometimes when I do a Google Meet, I almost always do them with all of my science kids in one class or all of my robotics kids in one class because I'm going to talk about the same things. If you're going to talk about different things or if you're like, I don't want 900 kids in one Google Meet, that's fine. Then generate a link here, and then you just use that exact same link every week to get your Google Classroom up and running and your Google Meet for that week for distance learning. So that's just up to you and your personal preferences. I like to do all my kids at once because I hate to repeat myself, but that's me. And if you're not okay with 90 kids all in the same room, Google Meet at the same time, then by all means do separate Google Meets. Um, I don't mess with any of the grades here for the settings because I do grade things in Google Classroom, but then everything goes to PowerSchool. So I don't actually want the kids to see a grade in Google Classroom because it may or may not be calculated slightly differently than it is on PowerSchool, and that leads to a lot of parent phone calls. So I generally just turn all of that off and say, do not show the kids a grade on Google Classroom at all. It is for content delivery in my room. But that's up to you. If you do want to do it, then by all means, this is where you would turn it on. You can also set up your categories right there.